Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. All right, welcome everyone to the Week in Italian Startup, where Nicolo and I review the best, the most interesting, the news with more traction and more curiosity. This week there's been a lot of curious news, like in your newsletter, Nick. Last week has been pretty wild, actually. So as always, yeah. But I felt it particularly.
We are getting ready for the summer break, where everybody slows down and everything, stops.
Yeah.
But July, it starts, sparkling.
Right. Exactly. All right, let's start maybe from the biggest round from Italian founders, not necessarily in Italy, I would say. I'm talking about the Shop Circle, which it's pretty significant, I would say. So Shop Circle, founded only in 2021 by two Italian entrepreneurs based in London, announcing the closing of $65 million from several investors, including big names like NFX and QED. So that's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting given the fast pace that they managed to get to a financing like this big. What's your thought, Nick?
Well, actually, I agree with you. This was a very cool round considering the speed and pace at which they raised it, and so pretty good. Actually, I know the founders, and we had a chat, but they were far beyond whatever we could do with them, as the news says. So very good deal, and also with pretty important investors. NFX for once, QED, not bad.
Totally. And just to remind the audience, the kind of business, that's basically like a series of tools for Shopify. So the guys are really kind of nailing down the Shopify e-commerce space by giving very direct, very functional tool. And the value proposition is really like a one-stop shop for people that have Shopify. Actually, like an advanced Shopify account, I would say, that require like tools managing, different items from the order tagger to selling different assets, not just a product. So that was interesting, actually.
Yeah, and think about it. I mean, from the article, they acquire and grow e-commerce software. So we've seen companies acquiring Amazon brands and aggregating them, to produce economies of scale. Yeah. This is a similar play in terms that they are acquiring digital assets, digital tools, and aggregating them in order to create a perfect catalog for the Shopify ecosystem. That's a very smart move.
That's interesting. Ooh. Awesome.
Congrats to Luca and Gian Maria.
Shout out to them. Yeah. Awesome. So let's come back to Italy with the biggest round actually in local soil with Cortilia, and I'll let you take the spotlight because Primo Ventures is one of the investors in Cortilia. Cortilia has been a very, very successful example of e-grocery startup in Italy, and they're announcing the 20 million euro round. Which series is that?
Well, that's the interesting question. It's
no series.
Somewhere after series. Yes, but in Italian series are a bit of a more complex matter.
Yeah.
But still some kind of extension of the previous one. The round closed in January 2021. Mm-hmm. I have to say. These are an internal round, so all the existing investors basically participated to the round. We're a small investor here, so the lead investor from the previous round was and is Red Circle Investments, the holding company of Renzo Rosso, the founder of Diesel, among many other things. We have 5 Ventures, we have Indaco, there's us, Primo One is an investor. We have follow on because the company is going great. It is a good moment to continue investing in growth. They just announced in May a new automated huge warehouse in the outskirts of Milan.
Awesome.
5,000 square meters or something huge. And from the article, so official numbers, Cortilia last year sold 40 million euros of food and grocery items. So
awesome.
they're going very, very, very well. So
I also thought the rate of growth is impressive. Beside the revenue, we're talking about basically compared to 2019, we have a rate of growth of plus 175%. And then compared to 2020 is a plus 21%. So it's definitely getting somewhere really fast for sure. So that's definitely super impressive.
The numbers show that the COVID era of 2020 in particular was a full change moment.
Yeah.
The demand dynamics on the market completely changed because people were stuck at home and they had to eat, and that's the moment that Cortilia took the opportunity to grow this base, and it was pretty sticky.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed with Cortilia and continued buying from the service. So it was pretty good. We're looking forward for the next steps because we need to expand geographies. So the company needs to expand the geographies to invest in growth. They're doing great. They can do even more.
Yeah. So right now is purely Italian based, right? They have no offshoot so far around. It's just Italian based. Okay, cool.
It's Italian based. This is one of those markets where as investors, we look forward to companies that can scale internationally, with exceptions. So Cortilia is one of those exceptions, but the domestic market is so big. There is a lot of room to grow, and in the case of Cortilia, there are also a lot of network externalities to investing locally because you have more vans going around delivering food. People learn to use Cortilia, they see Cortilia, they experience Cortilia, and the more people experience Cortilia, the more word of mouth work.
Yeah.
So there is a strategy in being deep locally in this case, but up to a point. You need to expand
awesome.
Going forward, and that's probably the plan for the near future. And I have to add, Cortilia was my very first investment when I started this career.
Yes,
that's, piece of heart. Going back a few years.
That's great.
Yeah, very happy for the past.
Good job, Nick. Good job. It was a good pick. Good
luck. Yeah, I didn't pick.
Of course,
I was just what are we doing here? What's this? Okay, let's invest. Whatever.
It was the flip of a coin, Nick. Tell the truth. It was just between not investing and a random choice, and Cortilia came up. So part of the business, I believe. Awesome.
Yeah, luck is the important component.
Huge. Awesome. So sticking with Primo, actually, you guys have been extremely active, and last week another announcement, basically Servitly, no-code servitization startup raising 2.16 million euros, and you guys are also part of the round. So maybe let's talk about Servitly really quick, and what is the logic behind the investment.
Well, this again is a thing that comes from me, I have to say. And this is the first investment by Primo Digital, so the new digital fund that we launched back in March. And Servitly is basically a no-code SaaS service for servitizing connected equipment. So basically, if you are an equipment manufacturer, the traditional way to sell something is to take the item, ship the item to your customer, get the check for the item, and that's it. There's some maintenance, there's some support, and more or less you've done the item. You know nothing more about it. IoT added a level of connection between manufacturer and customer, because you can actually connect the item, the equipment, the machinery, know something about what's going on, deliver information, consumption dashboards, and so on and so forth. But there's still a piece missing. So you can enable new business models with connected machinery. You can servitize the equipment. So the end goal of the industrial IoT, in my view, is to create a servitized product. So basically, you're not buying a piece of equipment anymore. You're buying a service that will produce stuff for you. So the equipment manufacturer can enable paper production, pay-per use type of business models. You can offer an entire full stack of services to your customer, to the customer using the piece of machinery.
Yeah.
And all of this stuff is enabled by Servitly, with very easy and quick setup and customization. In just a few days, you're up and running with your servitized offering.
So what
assume that the machinery is connected to your reality.
So what was for you guys and the investment committee the sort of the turning point, the turning element will be like, okay, this is a good deal. This is what happened. Is it more product? Is it more like traction that this company has with like manufacturing companies and the application of IoTs? What's your thinking about this? I'm just trying to dig a little deeper on the way you guys are thinking.
Well, look, the startup it is a seed stage investment. So the startup has some customers, not only in Italy, having customers abroad. It's very good signal. The customers are extremely happy with the solution, and that's a great signal. The way the business model works is very interesting. I love startups that stands on the revenue line of the customers, not on the cost line. So it enables additional revenues to the customers. So that's lovely, because if you're able to provide and to actually maintain the promise that you make, no customer will actually leave you. So think about Shopify.
Yeah.
You enable a new line of service for your company. So the prospect, the future they allow is very, very, very interesting. And that's some of the reasons that we love the investment. The team is extremely good.
Mm-hmm.
They're very technical and they're very small, just 8 people.
Oh.
There's a lot of room to grow. We're looking forward to what's happening in the future. So awesome. It's all in front of us. This is all in front of us. Things are starting right now. So monetization is starting right now. Beautiful. There was a recent advertising by Haier, I believe, with the connected washing machine for consumers. Servitly is not a consumer play, but servitization is coming. So get ready.
That's awesome. And I would say you guys are perfectly in line with the what Haier is doing. So let's talk about that, turning into some interesting moves and strategic moves that have been happening in the industry, in tech in particular. So we've seen a lot of CVC and then a very curious deal, but we'll talk about it later. So let's talk about CVC and Haier for sure. So big Chinese company, one of the biggest manufacturers in electrodomestic appliances. They have a European arm. So what they did is essentially creating a special vehicle for strategic investments. So as a big fan of CVC strategy, that's a very, very clear playbook, which has a very, very, very interesting elements that you can see on successful cases. And maybe let's dig a little bit deeper on that.
From the article, I mean, this is really interesting for us, and for the idea about Servitly, because this is exactly in the direction we saw with Servitly. So Haier is going to deploy in Europe from 1 to 10 million euros per deal into 4 deals per year in the near future. That's a that's a strong commitment, I believe, for a CVC fund. And they're looking for innovation in the connected home, IoT. So it's more of a consumer play, of course. But this is real money, big money for startups operating in that area.
And what is interesting,
and,
what is interesting, and I thought it was very, very smart, was the fact that actually they created a completely independent vehicle with independence of allocation of capital, which that's one of the top 3 in our experience, like causes of failure of CVC programs, where actually you have a big disconnect between, what the CVC department is doing in terms of innovation and what the top management maybe doesn't see and doesn't know too much about these logics of venture investing. So there is like slowing down in processes, not good decision making, clunky. They don't think like a fund. They think like an M&A, which is wrong when you talk about venture capital, of course. So these guys essentially created a specific unit which is called Haier Europe Open Enterprise Venture Builder. So again, another very sort of like keyword here, the fact of they're like really leaning toward venture building. I don't think right now they're organized as venture builder, even though according to the article on Wire, they were the CEO was saying that they're gonna lean toward it, but it doesn't feel like too much they're going there right now. But it's interesting because it means that they're really exploring like interesting verticals. They have a clear idea about the 6 verticals of IoT they're interested into. So that's particularly like key. And you can see here, which is essentially from IoT driven business model to artificial intelligence related to appliances. So it's very broad, but well structured. And yeah, the good thing is also that they don't necessarily have like a budget allocated per year. They have a number of investment, as you mentioned, and they're gonna be essentially managed, I guess, on a deal by deal basis with the top management level, for sure, with the C levels and so on and so forth. So curious to see how they're gonna perform in terms of what is gonna happen there. Yeah, very interesting structure. Yeah, awesome.
See how it goes. And from the article, I believe that the European, the CFO of Europe is an Italian guy, so Marco Cossetaro. So this is a play with some Italian roots as well.
True.
So we didn't to apply. So if you're listening to this podcast, go for it.
Exactly. No, totally. So IoT people, go to the website, apply immediately. That's awesome. All right, that's cool. Let's talk about another great example of CVC, which is Cereal Docs, one of the great company here in Italy, working in agri-tech in particular, launching their venture arm, Grey Silo Ventures. We know really well Giacomo Fanin, the kind of the mind behind Grey Silo. Again, very interesting, clear, precise vision, very oriented on specific verticals, with the big attitude to actually make strategic investments across a very long timeline. So it's a very, very well organized venture arm with specific people dedicated. I think there are like 4 people working total, plus a few analysts, I believe. But yeah, they're very moving like extremely fast, and they are like extremely focused on their own vertical. So very good example, I would say.
Yeah, would you like to mention the verticals? So this is something that you know very well, I believe. So
absolutely. So I would, there you go. Fermentation-based ingredients, agri-tech solutions. They are right now actually very active in looking into cellular agriculture. Yeah, that's the precise name. That's definitely, especially dairy. And there is a ton of people working in alternative dairy. And Nick, I know it's not your core, but it's impressive, and it's we've been scouting a little bit the space. It's very impressive. A lot of research institutions are, of course, playing in the field. A few companies kind of pass the research phase to actually deploy product, but very active, very, very active space. So yeah, I would definitely shout out to the guys at Grey Silo for the awesome job doing that. It's one of the, I believe, current top 5 example of corporate VC in Italy, I would say. Pretty confident, yeah. Right, let's talk about our friend at Azimuth. So these guys are unstoppable. There's nothing to say about them much. The idea is to Azimuth to invest about 51 million euro in a green data center, about 20,000 square meter, together with a data company, and that's also to implement sort of the IT infrastructure of Italy. And that's an interesting play. That's another great space where the guys are really looking into, and they know what they're doing, and they kind of also being part of the infrastructure and not only of the content of the infrastructure. So I thought it was very well played, of course, like total respect for them.
Yeah, but they basically got a fund for anything. This is a fund for infrastructure for growth. So this fund that it looks tailored for investing in green data centers. So it's perfect. But the point that I was considering is another one. I don't know whether it is a matter of I've been paying attention just in the last few months, but there have been quite a few announcements about data centers being launched in Italy, national or international scale data centers. That's an interesting one. I'm not aware of this trend being something normal or something that's emerging just in the last few months. But Google opening up a physical location here. This one with Azimuth and Unidata, at least another one a few months back, I remember. There's a trend there. There's some kind of strong localization of computing infrastructure back to specific geographies.
So the question maybe to explore is also why now and why all at the same time? Is it related to maybe some European funding or some European laws that have been unblocked? I'm not aware, to be honest with you. We leave the question open. Listener that know the answer, please reach out to us. We'll have a full session on that. It's super interesting because it's a pattern that it's undeniable. It's definitely a pattern. Yeah, interesting. All right, so less of a pattern instead is this deal that you mentioned, Alfonsino joining with Justmary. So that's cool. That's cool because it's a trend and it's real. I've seen this, and you've seen this in the US in the past 4 years at least, where cannabis provider are essentially delivering goods like within a few hours to clients. And that's a trend that's been happening in a lot of the big US cities and not only. And now it's coming to Italy. So Justmary, that's the startup doing essentially like product based on legal cannabis, joining forces with Alfonsino, which is a very localized delivery system, which is active in Rome, Milan, and a few other cities in Italy. So that's, a few, actually more than 50. I believe.
No, it's quite, exactly, quite a few. Actually, the value proposition of Alfonsino is actually to deliver items so being active in smaller cities. So staying outside of the big cities, that that there are a lot of players there. And so that's probably also the essence of the partnership. So Justmary is probably quite able to operate in the bigger areas, in the bigger cities. Yeah. And Alfonsino is basically a way to quickly expand the service to many other smaller Italian locations.
Awesome.
Well,
and what in the US I can think of, I'm not a cannabis consumer, but when you kind of look at curiosities, that's what happens. In US there is at least like 8 different companies doing this, like the delivery service in one way or another. And in big cities like LA, San Francisco, there's one of the first one, which is called Ease, which was born, I believe, in 2018. Back in the days, there was some of the first ones sort of harnessing this opportunity. There's also some funny play. I believe there is one called grass door, so playing like a glass door but with grass. There are a few things like that, so it's pretty cool, pretty interesting. I don't know if Italy is a good it's a good market. Legal cannabis has not been I don't think has been seen a particular explosion, plus the law is pretty strict. I don't know, very interesting. Very interesting to see how it's going to go.
No data in differences at Justmary and any data points they want to share. Happy to receive it. We're curious now.
Yeah, I was checking actually. Justmary has maybe we should mention it. Crowdfunding campaign on Mama Crowd to support this project. They're raising about 100, a little bit more than 100,000 euro to support this operation. It just started essentially, I believe, a few days ago. So that's where they try to go. And they're trying to open 9 Italian cities, 18 riders, and even go beyond Italy. So it's, very committed actually.
Yep, indeed. Mandatory disclaimer: none of this is investment advice. This
Sorry. Good point.
Conversation.
So awesome, because they deliver in 1 hour and a half. That's the idea. Wow, that's impressive. And let's see. The European cannabis market, 3.2 billion by 2025. Interesting.
The 64.4% CAGR 21-25 means that right now is like probably 1/5, less than 1/5 the number.
Less than 1/5 for sure.
Yeah, something quite small there. So that's. I wonder what the origin of that type of forecast.
Yeah.
Make your research.
Absolutely. Always make your research before investing. Yeah. We are on financial disclaimer. We're walking on eggshells right now. So let's move on with a spiritual deal.
I'm in no position to talk about open crowdfunding campaigns.
Let's talk about the Pope.
About them,
Nick, let's switch to the Pope and the Catholic Church. Just talking about walking on shells.
This sequence of news is dangerous. The exact sequence. Okay.
One of the best issues of our podcast. Yeah, definitely interesting topics. All right. So impact investing has touched also, Christianity. So the Pope basically issued specific letters, I believe a few years ago, right? It's called Laudato Si. And with which he was outlining a little bit the principles for like a sustainable humanity, I would say, like going way beyond the economics and the financial part, so going way beyond. So what has been happening is that a successful investor basically took this very famous document and turned it into an investment thesis. That's what they did, pretty much. So they launched Impacta for Equity, which is whose aim is actually to invest in impact. It's an impact investment play, and they're planning to actually provide money to particular companies that have like a specific impact according to extremely specific value metrics. That's the part that caught my attention, which is basically they've been formalizing measurements specifically for value, called value metrics. And PricewaterhouseCoopers has been working on that, Anima Movimento per l'Economia del Bene, that's also another foundation, I believe, that work on this. So it's a different way of conceiving about investing, I would say.
If you want, you can go on the Laudato Si Action Platform website and share it with the laudatosiactionplatform.org.
Okay.
If you want to go. And there are the Laudato Si goals. It is the official. There you are. This is the official platform for the website of the actual platform from the Laudato scene. If you scroll down, you see the goals.
By the way, I wouldn't have never imagined to have a picture on the pop-up during our podcast. But going back to the goals.
Yeah, in a website where there are actionable goals, so specific
Interesting
directives of where to invest in a Catholic compliant way.
Interesting. Wow. Very interesting.
And it makes sense. Actually. Adoption of sustainable lifestyles, community resilience and empowerment, ecological economics. That's pretty material.
Yeah. No, it's actually very, very concrete, very actionable, totally actionable. Yeah, very interesting. Community empowerment. Look at this. Poverty. That's also like the United Nations goals for it's very. I mean, we have some overlapping, of course. In the it's exactly. There.
This page is echoing.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Makes sense after all.
Any example that came into mind of a religious association investing in VC? I'm trying to think about it. I'm sure Mormons did something. I'm sure the different communities did something sort of under the radar, probably. I don't know. We're gonna have some hated message after this for sure.
This is an informational podcast. We are just
we're just exploring topics.
Transferring knowledge.
Exactly. All right, Nick. Thank you so much. It was a super fun selection. It was very interesting, very informative for sure. I hope everyone enjoyed, and I'll see you next week with the next episode of the Week in Italian Startup.